Hello, this is Allie at the Benicia Public Library. We are in the children's section. It's a little hard to tell from where we are. I'm pointing the camera downward at a table, but I swear that's where we are. Okay, we're going to be talking today about Blackout poems and how to make them. So you saw the packet of summer reading materials, so you probably know what I'm talking about. If you're doing the writing summer reading, you know what this is, because there was an example, which I believe was this one here in there. So this one says, yes, we're sinking, but the music is exceptional. Right. That is a Blackout poem, and you can tell it's a Blackout poem because most of the words on the page are, blacked out. That's right. And so you really are only reading just those few words that are left. All right. So you can do this with really any text at all, and I tend to like making art with found objects, and so for me, I tend to like using really random things instead. I think the one that from the Titanic there was from a newspaper. This is actually a page from one of my textbooks this last semester, and it says, analyzing the process, why we need comparative analysis and knowledge development to learn to think conceptually, understanding community, making sense of the experience of pain, and investigation of violence. All right, wow, that was depressing, but that's actually how my Blackout poetry tends to go. It tends to be sad. All right. So, in the spirit of using any found object to make Blackout poetry, I was looking around the library thinking, what is here that we don't need anymore, that we have multiples of? And I found a flyer for the teen program, which is special teen events from winter and spring 2020. Not all of these events ever happened. This is actually a really sad flyer. And so perhaps that was what inspired me to make some pretty sad poetry. But to start with, for Blackout poetry, the thing that is super key is I like to have multiples of it because you might make a mistake, right? And in my case, what I did was I took a multiple of it and I circled phrases that were interesting. I kind of did a draft of it with pencil so that I could erase. And so there were all sorts of things in here that were going to be in my final draft that I didn't wind up keeping. And this flyer, by the way, the teen librarian Brandy Bett is amazing because she has all of these really cool graphics on the side that say things like the future and good luck and moral dilemma ahead, all of which I wound up using. So newspaper ads, if you get a newspaper at home, the advertising that you get in your mailbox that usually just goes straight into recycling, stuff like that can be really good ground for poetry like this. So mine, from the flyer that started like this and got written on with pencil like that, wound up just being this. Special 2020 deadline, the future, options after high school, escape and discuss, moral dilemma ahead, free, good luck. Which is, kind of dark, but there we are. So the way that you do this, honestly, is you have some sort of printed material, right? In this case, this flyer, or, with the one before that, one of my textbooks from the semester, and a pair of Sharpies, right? I like to have both the really wide one, this is that super inch thick, amazing one, right? And a smaller one. You can do this with paint, you can do it with black pens. I'm going to show you some examples of kind of more creative Blackout poetry that kind of bends what Blackout poetry could be, and you'll see you don't totally need to just use black marker. But really all you do is you try to figure out in advance which phrases you want to keep, and then you just use your Sharpie or your paint or whatever you have, and you color over everything else. You just get rid of all the other stuff. That's why it's super, super key to know what you're doing and be intentional about it, because it's really hard to erase if you have Sharpied over something, right? That's why having a multiple of it is a good idea. So I wanted to show you just a couple of examples that I'm super, super strict about my Blackout poetry. I like it to just be Sharpied and that's it, right? But I'll show you a couple of examples that my colleague Caroline found that she and I emailed about for a fair amount of time. You'll notice this one has all sorts of really cool things. Shivering, brassy moonlight, ignite the dark night, lonely, haunted, end of the day. It's gorgeous. And then at the bottom, for me, this is where it comes apart. But for you, this might inspire you. You'll notice it's not blacked out. they just colored over it. They painted over it with different colors of paint. And it looks like a sunset and it's gorgeous, but you're gonna have to decide for yourself, is that really blackout poetry? Everybody's gonna have a different opinion. All right, that one came out a little bit blurry when I printed it, so let me show you one that's a little more crisp. This, yeah, I think really is much more close to what I consider blackout poetry. I can live with this. It says, time admitted justice led the blooming knowing at the mention to suspect, to tell, matters spirited away more than ever, superstition, changed, being deserted by the ghost of distance, melancholy, hymn tune, hollow. It's great. I don't know that it makes any sense, honestly, but I think this is really where the design took over and kind of dominated over the poetry. And so it's gorgeous. I don't know that it makes a lot of sense as poetry, but maybe it's just that I don't have a very sophisticated taste in poetry and I like it to make sense. So your mileage may vary on that, and that's great. Okay, so blackout poetry. You take some sort of printed thing, you color over it. Have a good summer. Thanks.